Now, when I started this channel, I set out on a mission to get tips and advice from experts on how to write, publish, and promote my first fiction novel. Now, it appears I might have 2 novels coming out in 2021. One being Atticus the Mighty, and the other being a graphic novel. Damn, it feels good to be an idiot. Too much? Hi, I'm Marcus, and I'm the idiot on the writer's block. If you're new to the channel, I, the idiot, ask experts for tips on how to write, publish, and promote my first fiction novel. I'll come to that in a second. I've asked questions in the past such as how to write a great protagonist, what horror tropes can you embrace and avoid, as well as what genres are marketable in 2020 and 2021. For those videos and much more, check this playlist right here. If you like those videos and want to get more content, give us a like and subscribe to the channel for more tips on how to write, publish, and promote your fiction novel. Don't forget the Patreon. Now, I was saying, I started a channel to try and get my first novel, Atticus the Mighty, done before September next year. What happened was, in the course of me finding experts for the channel, I came across Sublime Studios, who are excellent illustrators, and they have partnered up with me to resurrect a project I thought was long dead called Culliver City Chronicles. I'll get back to the story of Culliver City Chronicles in later videos. For now, on the other hand, I want to focus on graphic novels. I want to make sure that I get it right this time. So I'm throwing the entire genre of graphic novels onto the writer's block. Tell me all I need to know about publishing a graphic novel. And here are some experts who answered questions I had regarding publishing graphic novels.
My name is Neil Gibson. I'm a comic book writer, occasional screenplay writer.
Well, my name is Fabiana, and as you know, I'm a writer, but I'm also a marketing and business specialist. So I do both things. And I also work in everything related to writing and illustration with graphics and all of that, just coordinating a small art agency in Argentina. So that's who I am and that's what I do.
Well, I'm probably best known for Twisted Dark, which is sort of, I describe it as Black Mirror meets Lost. It's a series of short stories, all quite dark in nature with twist endings. But unlike Black Mirror, all the stories tie together, so it benefits from rereading. Because my favorite books are the ones I've reread several times, and so I designed this so that when you read it, you see the connections you didn't see the first time. Other than that, I've done superhero stuff. I've done comedy. I've done science fiction. That's my thing that people are most excited about now. It's basically like Twisted Dark, only sci-fi based. But the newest one I'm writing right now, the script's finished. It's called Tuned. That's Heroes Meet Seven. So it's superpower people, but it's very dark and quite psychological. Because I like thinking about things.
It could be defined as a self-help book. It's pretty funny though. I write a lot about my experiences and other people's experiences, and I went through a really bad heartbreak a couple months ago. So before that, I have a massive writer's block. I stopped writing for like 2.5 years, like nothing, not even like a small sentence, not even a drabble. The only thing that I did that was writing tagline for my clients' campaigns, and that was my work basically. So this thing happened, got my heart broken very badly, and I was like, there's a lot of things like going on here and here, and I need to like bend them out. So I was like, let's see what I do. I do a lot of journaling, so that's one of my relaxing techniques. I do a lot of journaling. I write and I doodle a lot of my agendas. So I started writing a couple lines, and then everything just took off from there. I have an author, her name is Amalia Andrade, who's been my inspiration for, a lot of the work that I do. She does this kind of work too with, illustrated books that gives you, exercises and recommendations on how to deal with things like anxiety and, heartbreaks and all of that. So I wanted to do something like similar. So I started writing, and then I came up with this whole book. It's almost 280 pages long. And it has a lot of like exercises, it has a lot of dynamics, it has pages for you to draw, for you to illustrate your own thoughts. So I think it's gonna do great.
So most books have such a small print run and they don't sell well at all. But it's a pyramid. The ones at the top sell ridiculous quantities. So the question really is, how do you get higher up the pyramid? And that's down to three things: the quality of the content, the distribution, and the marketing you have. And quality of the content, we will help you make the best content possible. That's what TPUB does. In terms of, but if you're brilliant in your own right, which some people are, great. You don't need help. Then the distribution, that you need to make sure you're with Diamond, you're on these various online platforms like Comixology, for example. You can do it free on your own website. That would probably get you the most backers from Patreon or something. Or you can do Webtoons, which gives you massive exposure, but then a lot of people don't pay for anything on that. So if you want to give it all away for free, you probably get the most eyes on you, but then you won't make revenue unless you're very good at social media, because then people are engaged with you. And social media is a good part of marketing. Unfortunately, I hate it. I do not like social media. I'm almost never on Facebook, let alone Twitter or Instagram. That's once every 3 months or something. So don't take any advice from me ever on social media. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'd try and partner with artists or colorists who are good at that stuff, because then if they're good artists and they can also help with social media, that's what get eyeballs on your work. Kickstarter is a good way of raising revenue for us. But I would say the big money really is in adaptations and licensing and merchandising. That only happens with a hit, and it's sort of a virtuous circle, because once you're big enough, then everyone wants you, but then you don't need them, and yeah. It's sold in comic shops, and that's through Diamond. But we make more money if we sell it directly from our website. So we have a warehouse that fulfills it. We're sitting at one in the US, and so we encourage people to buy either from our website or from a local comic shop. And then if you have to, you can use Amazon. But we'd rather people didn't support local shops or support us by buying directly. That seems to be the best method for us. You're right about Comic-Cons. Comic-Cons used to be a big revenue generator for us. But it's more than that. It's because people meet you for the first time, and they become lifelong customers, and they become advocates, and they're the people who share on social media for you, because they actually understand that stuff, which I don't. And then they can ask about what else you're working on, and you can just get feedback in general. I love Comic-Cons. They're great. I don't like traveling to them. My wife is kind of glad COVID happened, I think. There was one year, about 3-4 years ago, I did 26 weekends away in the year, and she said, no more. I'd say two things, actually. First of all, the number of new writers who say they've planned this 7-part epic story that they want to write with 7 books. I'm thinking, you need to walk before you can run. I mean, yeah, okay, J.K. Rowling did it, but she's J.K. Rowling. I mean, there was a guy who wrote, Ken Follett is his name. He wrote this wonderful book called Pillars of the Earth, and he said he'd written some successful thrillers, but this was a big epic he wanted to write, and this was just one book. So he knew he hadn't learned the skills yet to do that, so he delayed writing it for 10 years, even though he had the idea, because he knew he wasn't experienced enough as a writer for it to make it yet. I thought that shows incredible maturity and wisdom and long-term thinking. So the advice I'd suggest is, look, get a 1-page comic made, get a 4-page comic made, that's finished, then get a 17-page one made, okay? And then you can build up and do long, because you'll learn so much from it, especially after it's made, that you don't need advice. And that's my second bit of advice, is that stop asking for advice, because nobody's really an expert. I think you just need to make stuff and learn from it.
For newcomers, for people who are just entering this stage, one of the things that I've noticed that work a lot and they get a lot of support, it's Patreon. It's a platform that essentially allows you to share your work, but it allows you to get funding. And I've seen a lot of artists go from Patreon to big publishing houses. Like, they started on Patreon, they wanted to just essentially have help to fund the project, because you can illustrate your own work, but to have let's say an illustrative work at the level of yours, for example, you need high-end equipment. Like, you cannot just illustrate with a simple Wacom tablet. No, you need the good stuff. So it requires a lot of effort, a lot of work. These people are people who are actually working other part-time jobs in order to get money for their equipment. So they jump into Patreon, they start showcasing their work, and they also jump to other platforms like Webtoon, for example. Webtoon is amazing for newcomers and for people who are into graphic novels, but they are more like, Webtoon is kind of like how to portray your manga and stuff, but in the more form of a comic book into a mobile version. So for people who are working into this industry of the graphic novels, Webtoon is a really good tool. It's for free, and you can also get paid for your stories. And you know, the whole formatting, the platform, it's very interactive. You can read it on mobile, on tablet, on desktop. A lot of people are joining. I have it on my phone because I'm a huge fan of graphic novels, so I have a lot of them. And most of them are from indie writers that are not signed to any publishing houses, and they have gone viral onto the app. And this app has a lot of like people who are into it. Mostly people are from Asia. Because the app is actually, I think it's from South Korea, if I'm not mistaken, but I might be. I need to double check that fact. But for me, it's like the old ways of that, you know, just submitting your work to an editorial and then wait for approval. It's like that's the old way to go. Right now, since things are moving forward and the world is like going on full digital mode, like there are a lot of platforms that you can get support and funding from. Like for me, Patreon, Webtoon. And then just like join communities of people who are doing the same thing as you and do this like networking. It's one of the recommendations I give for people who are just starting. Like now, people who already have a lot of time into the business and they have connections and all of that. The way of marketing their works, it's a little bit more different because, you know, it has to come to the point where you have to analyze an audience in a market like very, very in depth to see if your work is adapting to the new trends and all of that. So, you know, it's a whole worldwide spectrum that, you know, it has a lot of things to consider.
That's a very good question. Actually, I don't know if I can share screens with you. I have here, I just wrote the outline for a story right now for Twisted Sci-Fi Theory. And what I have is the characters along the top in this Excel spreadsheet, and these are all the stories they're in, so you can see their entire arcs as they go through, and as I slot the stories in, things change. But my actual style of writing, what I do is I have an Excel document with different tabs, and if it's a long story, I make sure I plan out the whole arc for everything, and then by scenes, and then does each scene turn, do the emotions change in each scene, and I do and then I write in Excel the actual script, because I do in boxes. I have the first is the page number and panel number. So if it says 7.2, that's page 7, panel 2. And it'll go 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 8.1. Okay, so page 7 is just 3 panels. I don't have to write out page 7. There are 3 panels in this page. Like some people do that. I'm just lazy. I don't like doing that. And the reason is if I insert a new, I think I actually need another panel there for that to work. I insert it and the formula updates it automatically, so it's easy. So yeah, these are the tools I built along the way to make it easier for me. So I guess that's what I wish I knew at the start. So I can't turn around, but I've got a massive wall full of graphic novels and comics there. What's interesting is that I don't know if it's as I've aged or as I've started making comics, but I've become a lot more critical of them. I used to like a lot more, now I like a lot fewer. It's what normally happens now is I go months and months and months and I don't read anything I particularly think is good or really enjoy. And I find one, I go, oh, this is great. And I go, oh, this is better than what I can make. And I get depressed. So that's what being a writer does to you. The book I've reread the most, probably either Watchmen or Fables, possibly Why the Last Man. Those 3 are all excellent. It's funny, like things like, I'm going to get in trouble now because I'll be too honest. So things like Preacher, you read volume 1 of Preacher, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. You read volume 7 of it, not really. Because I remember rereading the series a while back and I thought, I'm not really enjoying it as much. And I picked up the first, I was staying at a friend's house and I read the first book and I was like, this is so good, I forgot how good this was. and I got to book 7 again. So because some series they don't maintain quality. Like of Fables is a classic example of that. I mean, I've met Bill Willingham a few times. He's a nice guy, but Fables has sold more for Vertigo than any other book, more so than Sandman by a long way. It's made more money for them. But there's 26 volumes of it. I bought them all the way to the end, but the quality was really dipping by the end. It was really, the first 11 books though, I recommend that, and then stop there, because that's where he meant to finish it. And he just made so much money, he carried on. But the natural ending was perfect. So to answer your question, I think you're asking what my favorite graphic novel is. And I think it's a bit like Neil's. If you have too much of the same thing, you get bored of it. But I like ones I can reread. I don't know, dude. This is a horrible question. I hate you.
And there you have it. Experts answering my questions on how to get my graphic novel published. Check the description below for links to their work. But what did you think about their answers? Do you agree or disagree with their opinions on the subject? Do you have your own suggestions to the questions that I posed? Or maybe you're also in the graphic novel biz and would like to share your thoughts with us. Whatever the case may be, put your comments in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more tips on how to write, publish and promote your graphic novel, or any other type of novels as well. I'm Marcus, and I'll see you next time. Who's a good putty cat? Good putty cat. Yo, check it out. New mascot for the Idiot on the Writer's Block. And what?